Greetings, MechWarriors. This is Blackhawk SC. So generally speaking, the more experienced a pilot gets, the tougher the opponents are in their matches. This fact then incentivizes players to use metamechs more often than not. But for me though, sometimes it can be great to step out of those boundaries and get into an underdog mech, or in other words, a non-metamech. I do this for the challenge and also the feeling of piloting something new. A few weeks back, a comment on one of my videos mentioned the awesome 8T specifically, which is one of those non-metamechs. This made me theory craft some builds for the 8T, but since I don't own one, and I happen to have a few mech bays available, I decided to buy it and master it out. Before going into the details of the review, I would like to talk a little bit about what makes a mech meta-friendly. The bottom line really comes down to whether a mech can play a particular role better than most other mechs in the game, and whether the role is effective in the current metagame. Since we're talking about the awesome, we're going to look at a few roles that are suitable for assaults. First, we're going to look at the peaker. These mechs are characterized by the fact that they have well-placed hardpoints that allows them to bring a significant alpha without exposing their entire mech. So good examples of these types of mechs are the Battlemasters and Stalkers, which can bring alpha strikes in the 40s to 50s at 400 meters and further. They can do this by exposing just the upper third of their torsos. You can see that the AT is not suited for this as its hardpoint is spread out horizontally across the mech. They're also not high mounted, forcing you to expose the entire torso to hit with all of your weapons. Now you can choose to expose just half of your mech, but half of your torso is already the width of some medium mechs. This makes an awesome a large target, even in that kind of situation. Second, we can talk about the Brawler. Good assault brawlers are characterized by two things, in my opinion. Number one, its ability of carrying a good number of heat-efficient weapons to take down enemies quickly once it gets into range. Number two, it's either tough enough to survive a lot of punishment, or is mobile enough to close to brawling distance quickly. Then it can maneuver around a target and get out once it's done its job. Let's look at two known brawlers in the IS space. First, the Victor 9S and the 9B, which can carry an AC-20 with SRMs. Those two are pretty heat-efficient weapons. It can carry a large XL engine, making it fairly speedy. And it has jump jets to mess up people's aim and shield with its left arm. The Atlas S, DDC, D, and RS can also carry an AC-20 plus SRMs, while being able to move at a respectable 60 kph with a standard 350 engine. It can shield damage with its large arms, and has the armor and structure quirks to survive a lot of punishment. However, none of these traits apply to the awesome 8T. Its engine rating is capped at 300, which makes it only 5 kph faster than the Atlas, while being 20 tons lighter. Its most heat-efficient weapons is the SRM-6, but it can only take 2. The rest of the weapons loadout would have to be something like large pulse lasers or medium pulse lasers, which are significantly less heat-efficient than ACs or SRMs. Neither can it shield effectively since its major weapons are located in the arms, so you can't lose those either. So from this we can see that the AT is not very well suited for brawling. The last two roles I'll touch on briefly. The LRM support mech, such as a loadout as you see here. LRMs, once you reach the higher tiers, are inconsistent in their performance, since the players at those levels are proficient at keeping cover. There's also the fact that there's no way to target specific components, like the CT on enemy mechs, which makes LRM damage inefficient. Also, as an LRM platform, it can only carry 2 launchers, so it really needs to get its energy hardpoints out in front of the enemy. Otherwise, those lasers are wasted tonnage. Lastly, we can talk about area denial, which is to punish mechs that are out of cover and prevent flanks and peeks from a particular area. To do this, a mech needs both range and firepower, so this is mostly limited to the Direwolf and the King Crab, and not so much a role that the Awesome can play in. So for a mech that doesn't poke well, is fairly slow, and can't take a lot of shots, I feel that your best chance of doing well is as a flanker. In the flanker role, you're trying not to take the lead on any engagement and be off to the side of a group of your teammates or a bit further back to provide direct fire support. I think if you decide to play it in the other ways I mentioned earlier, you will find situations where it will work. But I think the flanker playstyle is probably the most suitable and the easiest to play for a mech like this. Let's take a look at the build I've created for the flanker role on the AWS-8T. We have 4 large pulse lasers on the arms and a medium laser in the head. Fortunately, PGI has also given the AT some decent quirks for this role. The energy range quirk allows you to engage at a safer distance than normal. The cooldown and the heat gen quirks allow you to maximize the damage you can do during that window of opportunity when the enemy isn't paying attention to you. The duration quirk helps concentrate damage to specific locations and allows the mech to finish its burn and shield faster. Couple those quirks with the inner sphere large pulse laser and you can make significant contribution to the team. So the head medium laser is just bonus damage when you're in that 300 meter range. I feel that the medium laser is kind of awkward to use alone, but it can help sometimes, so do put it on there. So let's see how you can play this build in a real gameplay match.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems.
Here we're on Tourmaline. First thing we want to do is try to group with the rest of the team. Oh yeah, thank you PGI for those Christmas cockpit items. Those are nice. So a lot of teams decide to go down that 7 line. I don't really like that because it tends to separate the teams, and you're having to cross a lot of open space. When you go through that 7 line, what you can do is just to wrap around the back of the enemy team. But a lot of teams, they kind of get stuck in that low ground, that pit area. So I don't really like that. For me, the best thing to do in the solo match, and hopefully this is what the team does, is to go to that dropship area when you start on this side. Some people call that Stargate, but you know, it's that F5 area. And our team's a little bit spread out over there. Some of our assaults are there for whatever reason. Okay, so I wasn't sure whether that was friendly fire or what was going on there. So there actually happened to be a Raven poking from the crystals in the back, but I didn't realize this immediately because it wasn't showing up on my radar. And I had a suspicion that there's something going on over the crystals, so I'm just keeping a lookout on it. But unfortunately, I'm getting gauzed in the back. And yep, and we see laser fire coming from those crystals, so there must be something going on over there. Trying to find an area where I can, you know, not be exposed to the lasers from Echo 6. But apparently this position is not so good. I'm still getting lasered. So I'm gonna move down to another area where I at least can isolate myself from one of those. Here we go. Here's the. And see, this is one of the cool things about the arm lasers on the Awesome AT. Like you can adjust that shot without pointing your torso reticles, on, which is kind of slower than the arm reticle. Okay, so my back right now is being covered by a wall, so I'm not terribly afraid of getting shot in the back.
Acquired.
So we see that the Raven's not poking out as quickly, so we turn around and focus on the real threat coming.
Target acquired. Heat level critical.
Here's our first kill.
Target acquired.
That Raven's not poking out, and if you noticed, that Raven at the end of those large pulse laser shots was kind of smoking, so you know he took significant damage there, and he's probably not going to poke out that much anymore.
New target acquired. Target acquired.
Yeah, those large pulse lasers are quite powerful, like 2 shots, and generally a Raven will probably not want to poke out anymore. So here we're
Missile.
being very cautious about you know, pushing that corner. You kind of want to surprise. You really do not want to just engage mechs head on. You see there's a mech over there, so we're just going to back off. Again, you know, you're getting seen. That's not where exactly you want to be. Also, I was getting lurbed and just did a heat vision check to see if there's any UAVs up top, and there wasn't. There must have been. Those 2 mechs up there were probably spotting. So our team was kind of backing off.
Target acquired. Left arm.
So we're okay here. See, we got a pocket of 3 mechs with us, or actually 2 now.
New target.
But see, it's much better to push up that ramp than to continue engaging and taking fire from Fox 7. So we're gonna push up this ramp to start engaging the king crab. We're also shielding with our left arm. It's much better to lose the left arm than the torso. So if you lose the torso, you're gonna lose the arm too. So continue to use that.
New target acquired.
Just if you need to shield, use the arm to shield, not your body. Okay, as we see, there's like when we're engaging that crab, the large pulse lasers are fairly accurate. We're putting all that damage in the center torso, so we're able to kill that crab fairly quickly.
New target acquired.
That's the power of the large pulse. Okay, now we're in a better position. We can,
Acquired.
you know, try to,
Incoming.
you know, engage a little bit at range. You're not wanting to stay out in front. And we see our right torsos open right there, so we gotta be very careful about poking. So I'm trying to stay under cover here. So if I suppose I poked out on I know there's mechs over at Fox 7 and Fox 6, but if I poke out at that side, you know, I'm gonna risk getting the rest of my weapons blown out. So I'm just gonna stay back here and provide some support. It's not time for me to peek. Pretty even match thus far. Now they're probably at F7, Fox 7, Fox 6. They're still in that little low ground area here. It's not a very good position for that team to be in low ground.
Target destroyed. New target acquired.
So our team is mostly pushing their left side, so I'm going to help support that push. Again, don't want to be up front. You don't want to be the first target.
Target destroyed.
My weapons are almost gone.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. New target acquired.
Here we're actually using that large pulse laser range, which is quite helpful. It's not doing full damage at that range, but it's doing
Acquired.
some damage.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. New target acquired.
Again, we're being ultra cautious here. A one shot to our right torso is going to take our weapons.
Acquired. Right flank critical damage. Left torso critical damage.
We still want to take some shots because it's 9-7, and
Critical damage.
I still have a little bit of armor on my left side, so I can take some shots if I'm careful.
Target
And if
destroyed. New target acquired.
if the enemy's not paying attention to my hitbox, my damage. So there we go. Good job, team. Not a bad damage score there. So there you go. This is how I would build and play the awesome 8T. I feel that as a flanker, it does its job okay. Um, Again, still not one of the better mechs in the game, but not. I wouldn't say it's bottom tier. So I would encourage you, if you like the awesomes, to try it out, and let me know what you think. See you next time.